Okay, so today we're going to have a look at should have, and you can find lots of videos. If you Google ESL should have, you'll find lots of things to do with should have, meaning regrets and things that we might have done. What I want to do is to focus in on two specific, increasingly specific should have expressions. So the first one that we'll go to is should have on its own. I'll give you some examples that you've seen before. Then I'll move on to this one, should have known, where this is slightly more intense, slightly more regretful. It's when you are blaming yourself or someone else, thinking, well, that was a silly mistake. And finally, I'll finish off with something you can say to yourself or to another person or about another person if they really have made a silly mistake. And that is when we say should have known better. It's almost like, we have another expression, you weren't born yesterday. It means you're not a baby. You should have known that this mistake was going to happen if you didn't do whatever you're going to do. Okay, so when you look at this this particular slide, what you see is that I'm talking about things that could have been better. For example, I say, I should have prepared more carefully for the lesson, or you should have looked before crossing the road. Daniel should have worn a warm coat. And those are things that could have been better. And those are examples that you'll find all the time. But I want to go on now to looking at a different form of should have. Here, I should have known that I needed to prepare for the lesson. It's not that I haven't done a job like this before. It was my responsibility and I should have done that. The next one, you should have known that you needed to look before crossing the road. It's not like you've never crossed the road before, so you should have known that. Daniel should have known that he needed to wear a warm coat. Maybe Daniel heard the weather forecast. Maybe Daniel knew it was the middle of February, and even though it looks sunny, it was going to be cold outside. So you can see here, when you say should have known, what you're saying is that person didn't need to make that mistake. It was their responsibility. The last slide. Well, let's have a look at this one. This is where you are criticizing someone or yourself because you really did mess up. I should have known better than to have not been prepared for the lesson, because this is quite a strong way of saying it. You really did make a mistake. This is quite a strong one. You should have known better than to cross the road without looking. This time you're getting quite angry with that person. Maybe it's a child who's about 12 and they've run across the road and you're very, very cross with them. Daniel's come back, he's cold and he's shivering and he's got himself ill. Maybe he's got a cold now or flu or something. And you're really annoyed and you say about him, Daniel should have known better than to have gone out without a warm coat. So I hope after this you've seen how quite often just that extra word changes the sense of something. So remember, if you tell somebody they should have known better than to something, you are telling them very strongly that you think they've made a mistake. Okay, we'll be back with some more interesting modals or verbs or vocabulary quite soon. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.